Hey guys, it's Catherine and I'm really excited about this tutorial because today I'm going to be showing you how to create your own checklist in an app called Graphic. I'm going to show you a few different ways that you can do this. It all essentially works the same, but one of the ways involves Procreate and the other way you can just strictly do in Graphic. I'm also going to show you how you can save these checklists. I'm going to show you how you can copy and paste them into Procreate or into GoodNotes. So there's a lot of things that I'm going to cover, so make sure you check out the video description for timestamps if you kind of want to skip around. So these are just two of the checklists that I created kind of playing around with these methods earlier, and it was just super fun. This way you can see has more of like a hand-drawn effect with those hearts, and then this way is just perfectly symmetrical and all lined up. So I'll show you how to do both ways. So I'm going to hide these really quick because I'm going to be copying what I'm doing into my Procreate canvas. So now I'm going to open the app Graphic, and it is right here. So this is what Graphic looks like right when you open it. It's going to show you a bunch of canvases. You can either start a new canvas or work on a pre-existing canvas. I'm going to start a new canvas. So to start a new canvas, I'm just going to hit this plus sign right here. And right now I have my last used settings as far as the canvas size set right here, but I'm going to change that to screen size. It automatically selects screen size, but if yours isn't on screen size, you can just tap right here and then select screen size and make sure blank is selected and then click on create, and then it's going to start a new canvas in the upper left hand corner, and then you have to click on that to open it. So now to build these checkboxes, it's just a series of rectangles. So here is your rectangle tool right here. So you just want to select that, and then you can just use your stylus and just touch down on the screen and drag it. And you can make this any width or any height at this point. It doesn't really matter. So once you let go, it's going to form that rectangle on the screen. If you want to readjust your rectangle after you've created it, you can hit this arrow and you can drag these blue dots if you want to until it's as thin or as thick as you want it. So now you just want to duplicate this rectangle as many times as you need. So let's say you wanted to create a checklist that has 7 lines. You need to duplicate this 7 times. So to duplicate it, select your arrow and then select the rectangle. Go up here to this paper clip and click on it, then select copy and then select paste. And then here's your new rectangle, so you can just select this and drag it, and you'll see these orange lines that show up. That shows you that it's aligning your rectangles perfectly, so it snaps them together. So there's no overhang or anything like that. That really helps with alignment. So again, to insert the third box, you want to go to this paper clip and click on paste, and then you can move that and line it up with the orange lines, and you just do that over and over until you have all of the boxes that you need. Okay, so now I've got all of these boxes, and I actually think that I want to make this a little bit more narrow. So to do that, with my arrow selected, I'm just going to press and grab all of these boxes at the same time, and then don't use your orange dots. Your orange dots will rotate the image. Use your blue dots and then just drag those in if you want to adjust the width. And there you go. Okay, so now we need some colors. So you can do an ombre checklist, you could do a rainbow checklist. For this first example, I'm going to do a rainbow checklist. So in the video description, I will link to a website called Color Hex that is great for finding hex codes that you need. You're going to need the hex codes for whatever colors you want to use. But for now, I'm going to show you how to get hex codes from Procreate. So I have this color palette that I love called Brights, and right now it's set to my default color palette. So what I did was I selected these colors one by one, and then I went over to value, and you'll see under hexadecimal, there's a hex code right there. So for this pink, The hex code is FF1F9C. All hex codes are a combination of 6 numbers and letters. So what I did, I've actually already done this step, is I just typed them out on my phone, if you can see right there. So I know all of the hex codes already, and then I just reference this when I'm in graphic. If you're not sure of the colors that you want to use, you could always play around in an app like Procreate where you got this color wheel. So let's say you want to use green, but you're not sure of the exact shade of green you want. You could just drag this dot over to this green area and then slide this center dot until you find a shade of green that you like. Then go to value, and then the hex code will be right there for you. So those are a couple of different ways that you can get the hex code from Procreate. So now I'm going to go back into graphic since I know all of my hex codes. And with this arrow selected, I'm going to select this first box right here. So now I want to change the color of the outline, and I want to change the color of the inside of the box. So to start changing the colors, when you have your one box selected, you're going to click this eye right here. And it's going to bring up this menu where you've got stroke, brush, label, fill, image, effects, and styles. So stroke is your outline. So I've got my stroke set to 2 point. None of that really matters right now. But to change the color of the outline, you want to click on this rectangle right here, which is black for right now. And then it's going to pull up this screen, and then you'll see an area to enter your hex code right there. So now to enter the hex code, you just click right there, and it's going to bring up this little keypad. And the first hex code that I need is FF1F9C. So once you have the hex code entered, click on this check mark, and you'll see that the outline is now pink. So when I deselect this box, you'll see that it has a pink outline. So to change the fill color, after you've changed the stroke, go to fill and then change the hex code again to that exact same code. And then when you're done, hit enter or hit the check mark. And now I've got my first colorful box. So I'm going to show you one more time, and then I'm going to speed through the rest. So we're going to move on to the second box. So I'm going to select my second box. Always make sure this arrow is selected when you're selecting something. Go to your eye, go to stroke, click on this box, and now under hex code, enter your hex code. And now it's changed my outline. So now I'm going to go to fill. And you'll see for this one, when I instantly switched over from stroke to fill, it actually copied that hex code for me. So now all I have to do, since I see that it has copied that hex code, I can just click there under hex and then click on this check mark, and it just instantly filled the box. So now I'm going to change the third box. So I'm going to select it, change the stroke color, hit the check mark. I'm going to go to fill. And it did, once again, copy that hex code right there. So now all I have to do is click on the hex code, click on the check mark, and then the box is filled. Okay, so now I've got all 7 rows of my rainbow checklist. So before I copy this, I actually want to make it as big as I possibly can. So with this selected, I'm going to select all of these boxes, and then I'm just going to drag this corner dot, and I'm going to stretch it out as much as I can. So again, I'm going to make sure everything is selected. And to copy this into Procreate, because I want to do a heart checklist for this one, I am going to select this paperclip, select copy. And now I'm going to open my Procreate canvas, and I am going to 3-finger swipe and hit paste, and it's brought in this checklist, and it brings it in pretty small. So once it brings it in, you can just drag these dots to resize as big as you want it to be. So for the heart checklist, what I like to do is use my eraser and just erase little hearts down the side. That way, if you use these like over a colorful background or something like that, that color is going to show through the hearts rather than just being white hearts, if that makes sense. So I usually use my signature brush as an eraser for this kind of thing. So I'm going to go to my eraser tool right here, and I'm going to click on it once to select it and then tap on it again to pull up all of my brushes. My signature brush is already selected. You don't have to use my signature brush for this. You can use any brush that you normally use for the eraser. And then I'm going to make sure this is pretty small. Brush size 4% is pretty good for me. So just adjust the thickness of your eraser however you want to. And then zoom in to the top box and then just draw a heart. And then just start erasing the center of it. I actually want to make my eraser a little bit thicker. And this is going to give it more of a hand-drawn look because you can't duplicate these hearts. So each heart is going to look a little different. So I'm going to move on to this next heart. And you can see mine are getting a little bit crooked right here. So if you want to make sure yours are aligned better than mine are, I'm going to undo those two and I'm going to show you. You can go up here to your wrench tool, select canvas, and then turn on your drawing guides. And that's going to give you a little bit of a guide. It's not perfect, but now I can actually move this checklist. I'm going to put my heart where this blue line is through the center of the heart. So now I know when I zoom in, I want to draw all of my hearts where the center is meeting this blue line. Okay, so now I'm just going to turn my drawing guides off, and you know, this is personal preference. One of the things that I like about this method is that the hearts are hand drawn. I did those two a little too big, but you know, I'm fine with it. And I'm going to change my background color to, you know, let's just say black. And then you'll see that those hearts show the black through the heart since I erased them rather than drawing them in white. So that's one way you can do it if you want more of a hand-drawn feel to it and if you want a heart checklist or whatever. Okay, so the other way that you can do it is by using stars. That these are perfect shapes within the graphic app. You won't need Procreate at all for this method. So I'm also going to show you the best way to do an ombre checklist just like this. So first I'm going to go to that Color Hex website that I mentioned earlier. I actually already have it pulled up. This is the purple that I used for that example. But when you go to the main website, it looks kind of like this. It gives you all kinds of suggestions for colors. You can also search for colors. So if you want to just find your basic pink or purple or something, you can just type in the color name right there and it's just going to give you the basic standard hex codes for that color. There's several other ways to explore colors on here other than just this main screen. You can go to latest palettes and you're going to see a whole bunch of color palettes. You can go to colors, you can select popular colors, and these colors are all really popular right now. Or if you already know the hex code that you want to use, but you want to get different shades or different tints of that hex code, you can search for the hex code. I'm going to search for a hot pink hex code right here. And now I can scroll down and I can see shades of this pink or I can see tints of this pink. And this is perfect for your ombre checklist. So what I normally do is I just screenshot this page. So I have an iPad Pro 3rd generation, so all I have to do is hit the power button and hit the top volume button and it'll screenshot. That will vary depending on your iPad model. I can't remember how you do it on the iPad models that have the home button. I want to say you press the home button and then the power button. I don't know. Leave a comment below if you know how to screenshot off of the iPads that have a home button, because for some reason, even though I've only had this one for a few months, I've completely forgotten, and that's bizarre, but I just have too many things going on in my brain, and I guess my brain decided to get rid of that. So what I normally do after I screenshot the image, I pull it up in my photos and then I crop it. So I'm going to select this image and then I go to edit and then I select this box right here to crop it, and then I just drag these bars around the tints of the color. So once I have all the tints selected, I click on Done. So now I'm going to go back into Graphic. I'm going to clear all of this. So to clear this, I'm just going to click and drag, select all of it, press down, press delete. Nope, I messed up, y'all. Press down, press delete, and then it's gone. Okay, so now I'm going to build, let's say I want a 5-line checklist this time. So it's giving me a hot pink outline and a hot pink fill right here because that was my last used setting. You can do these in any color. If it gives you the standard black outline with a white fill, that's totally fine because we're going to be changing the colors anyway. So the first thing that I do when I'm doing ombre checklist, and I've screenshotted my tints of the color that I want to use, I go to my rectangle tool and then I draw a really long rectangle along the top. Then I select that by selecting my arrow and then making sure this box is selected. Then I go to my eye right here and I click on Image. And then I want to click on Stretch to Fit, and then I want to click on Change Image. Then I go to my photos and I pull in those tints, and it fills this rectangle with these tints of color. So now I've got the hex codes right in front of me. So you can do this a few different ways. Usually if I'm doing a 3-layer checklist, I usually skip a color. So I would do this color, then I would do this 3rd tint, and then I would do this 5th tint. But if I'm just doing like a gradual ombre checklist and it's like 7 colors, I would just use the first 7 colors all together. For 5-layer checklist, sometimes I do just the first 5 colors, and sometimes I do every other color. So it would be this color, this color, this color, this color, and this color. And that's what I'm going to be doing for this checklist that I'm about to make now. Okay, so just like when we made the rainbow checklist, I'm going to select my rectangle tool, and then I'm going to press and drag to form a rectangle. And to make things less confusing for you guys, I am going to change this back to the standard black outline with a white fill really quickly. Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to copy and paste this 4 more times. So with that selected, I'm going to click on my paper clip, click on copy, click on paste, and then move this, paste, move that, and then just do it 2 more times. So I'm going to make this checklist go from a darker shade to a lighter shade. So first I need to select my top box. So I'm going to make sure my arrow is selected, and then I'm going to click on that top box. And now I'm going to go to this first hex code, which is FF0099. So with this box selected, I'm going to go to my eye and I'm going to go to stroke. Then I'm going to select this box right here, and I'm going to come right here to hex code or hex number, and I'm going to enter FF0099 and then click on the check mark. So now I'm going to go to fill, and you can see right there it already entered that pink hex code for me, but it hasn't made the change yet. So to make the change, I'm going to click on the hex number and click on the plus sign. If you enter your hex code in the stroke and then switch to fill and you see that it hasn't automatically made that change for you, you will have to enter the hex code a second time. It's not really a big deal. I've noticed that it really only fills in that fill hex code for you if you don't close this screen. So if you do the stroke and then tap on your screen to close it and then come back to do the fill, it's not going to automatically have that hex code there for you. So you will have to enter it a second time in that case. But if you do it all in one big step, it'll duplicate that hex code for you. So let's move on to the second box. I'm going to make sure my selection tool, which is this arrow, is selected, and then I'm going to click on the second box. And now I'm going to get this third hex code right here, which is FF32AD. So I'm going to go to my eye, go to stroke, go to this rectangle, and I'm going to enter FF32AD check mark. So my stroke color has changed, which is my outline. So now I'm going to go to fill, click on that hex code, click the check mark, and now it's filled. So now I'm going to skip this color and then do this color right here, which is FF66C1. So again, stroke, FF66C1, enter, fill, enter. Okay, so I've got 2 more colors left, so I'm just going to speed through those steps really quick. Okay, so now I've got this ombre checklist right here. So now you can do this with circles, hexagons, squares, rectangles, or they have a star option, which I really like to use. So just know that you can select this icon if you want a circle, this one if you want a square, this one if you want a hexagon, and then you come down here. I'm calling it a hexagon, but you can make it an octagon. You can give it up to 24 sides. So if you want to do some kind of shape that way, you can do that. I'm going to use the star shape right here. And you can select how many points are in your star if you want to. So if you want to change the shape of the star, if you do 24 points, it kind of looks like the sun. If you do 2 points, it looks like a diamond. So I'm going to do just a standard star. So I've got my star selected, so now on the screen, I'm just going to hold and drag. And I'm making it kind of big because I know that I can always readjust later. So what it does initially is it gives me the fill color of the hex code that I last used. So you'll see it's got this black outline, but it's got this pink fill. I want to get rid of that pink fill. I want this to have no fill. So to give it no fill, I'm going to come over here to this color dot. This first dot is your stroke color. I want to keep that black, so I'm not going to mess with that. This second dot is your fill color. So I'm going to click there, and this slider right here that's at 100%, I'm going to move it all the way down to 0, and now it's completely transparent. So this, even though it looks like it has a white fill because it's on a white background, it has no fill whatsoever. So now I'm going to select this star by selecting my arrow, and it actually automatically selected it for me, but if it didn't do that, all I would have to do is select that arrow and then click and drag and grab the star. So now I'm going to move this star by dragging this box, and see these orange lines it's giving me to let me know that it's centered with this top rectangle. So once I'm happy with the placement and it's centered, I'm just going to let it go, and it's on top of that pink rectangle, that very first one. So now I'm just going to do this. I'm going to copy and paste this 4 times to get the rest of the checklist done. So with that selected, I'm going to go to my paper clip. I'm going to click on copy, and then I'm going to click on paste, and then I'm going to move this, and I want it to be centered with this rectangle, and you can see it is because of the orange line, and then I want it to be centered with that top star as well. So you'll see now it's got these 3 orange lines through it. So I know that it's perfectly centered with this star, and it's also centered with this rectangle. So I'm going to show you one more time. I'm going to paste another star. I'm going to move it, and it's centered with my rectangle. And now with those 3 lines, it's centered with those stars, and I'm going to move my pencil up to let it go. Okay, so now I've got this star checklist. So now I need to select this whole thing, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger just because these usually copy a lot smaller into Procreate. So I like to make them as big as possible while I'm in Graphic. First, I'm going to delete this box up here because I don't need it anymore. I've got all my hex codes. So now I'm just going to click and drag, hold on it, click on delete, and now that's out of my way. So now again, with this selected, I'm going to tap down and drag to select all of this, and then I'm going to drag my blue dots. Okay, so now I've got this checklist. So if I wanted to copy this checklist into GoodNotes, I would just select all of it by selecting this arrow tool and then clicking and dragging, and now I've got all of this selected. Now I can go to my paper clip, click on copy, and then I can pull up GoodNotes. I'm going to pull up GoodNotes 5, but if you're still using 4 because of the bugs in 5, then you paste the same way in 4 that you do in 5. So I'm going to go to my personal planner, and I'm going to go on my dot grid page, and I'm just going to press and hold with my finger and then click paste. And now I've got this big checklist. So now this is a sticker, and I can use it, you know, and I would just resize it like I would any sticker in GoodNotes. and I can use it like a regular to-do list. So, you know, I can write right here, like, I really need to paint my nails. If you haven't already noticed, so I could write paint nails. I would write it much better than that normally, but it is what it is. So now I'm going to clear all this. So if you do the method where you draw the hearts like I did in Procreate, and you wanted to copy that over, all you would have to do is on the layer, make sure you have the layer that checklist is on, make sure you have that selected, and once you've selected in Procreate, click on it again, click on copy, go to GoodNotes, press and hold, hit paste, and now I've got this sticker. It brings it in as the canvas size, but you would just crop it. I've got a full walkthrough tutorial on GoodNotes 5, which I'll link to in the video description if you're unsure how to do some of this stuff. But now you can see the dot grid through the hearts, so that's pretty cool. So there's that checklist. So now I'm going to show you how to save these checklists with a transparent background if you want to save them and use them in another app, or if you just like to have your stickers saved as images rather than in a sticker book in GoodNotes. That's absolutely possible to do. First I'm going to show you how to do it in Graphic, and then I'm going to show you how to do it in Procreate. So when you're on your canvas with your checklist right here, you're going to go to this ruler right here, go to Canvas, and under Background Color, where it says 100% right here, you're going to slide that down all the way to 0%, and now you have a transparent background. So now it's a little bit complicated to save things from Graphic. You're going to want to hit back and then click on save, and it's going to take you back to the main menu. So now to save this as an image, you're going to want to click select that canvas, and select share, and you can select to save it to your photos. You can save it to your Dropbox. I'm going to save it to my photos. I like to save everything at 300 DPI because that's the best quality. 72 DPI can get a little bit fuzzy at times. Also from here, if you don't remember to adjust your canvas, I just prefer to adjust my canvas. You can select that you don't want to include the background, and it will save it with a transparent background. But I'm just in the habit of turning off my background within the canvas. So now I'm going to click on save. So now when I go to my camera roll, there it is. On this view, it looks like it has a white background, but when I click on it, it goes to black. So that shows that it has a transparent background. So from Procreate, if you use that to erase the shapes within your checklist to save this as a transparent background, all you have to do is go to your layers, turn off your background color by selecting this box, make sure it's not checked. That turns off your background. Then go to your wrench tool, click on share, and you have to save it as a PNG in order to maintain that transparent background. So select PNG, and then you can save it to your camera roll or your Dropbox. So I'm going to save it to my camera roll, and now there it is in my camera roll with a transparent background. So that's just something fun to do. Obviously, you can tell my hearts aren't that great. I'm usually a little better at drawing hearts. Most of my hearts look like this, but the reason I don't really try to align these hearts in Procreate is because I get intimidated, and so they end up looking really crazy like this. When you can see on my original one, where I showed you an example, those hearts look so much better. Anyway, that's that. Make sure you subscribe to my channel for more digital planning tutorials and digital plan with me videos, and check out my website, naptimealt.com, where there's tons of planner related freebies that you can download now. I hope you guys loved this video. Please, please, please give it a big thumbs up. If you loved it, that would mean the world to me. Leave a comment. I love hearing from you guys. Follow me on Instagram. I'm saying so many things right now. So anyway, that's it. Bye.